Hi, I'm Gavin, and welcome back to the Sound Project. So Tom Kenny from Mix Magazine joining me today. Man, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with me a little bit.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So we've known each other for quite a while. So some of the stuff that you're about to tell me, I already know.
All right.
But I do want you to let people in the our audience to know a little bit about yourself, like how you got into this whole thing.
Oh, my. I'm one of 12 children. I'm a sixth of 12. I'm from small town Indiana. I got my master's degree in journalism in 1988, and I sent out 120 resumes, tab delimited in Microsoft Word 3.0 on a PC that had 2 floppy drives, and I made my own mailing list of 120 publishers and book publishers, magazines, everybody I could find in the Bay Area because I wanted to go. My now ex-wife was going to be going to Mills College, and 10 wrote me back. And one of them was Mix Magazine.
Wow.
And it turns out that David Schwartz, the founder of Mix, is from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
No way.
Played baritone horn, same as me, and went to Indiana University.
No
and he
way.
saw my resume and invited me out. I went out spring break, and I started working that summer at $5.50 an hour to proofread with a master's degree in 1988. And then when they offered me a job at the end of the summer, and I had to choose between a much higher paying public relations job in the city, where my clients would be Chevron, the Business Roundtable of California, the UC Regents, and politically, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I would have had to buy new clothes.
Yeah.
And Mix was, I have an affinity. I like music. I'm not a recording engineer. I've learned on the job. And I just absolutely love the industry. I was attracted immediately by the people. The fact that I find this professional audio industry, after 35 years of experience, it is so loaded with creative and technologically adept people. And that's a rare interaction of the left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm continually fascinated by the talent in this industry. So
Yeah.
I stayed.
Okay.
I've been here since 1988.
Wow.
People look at me a little bit like I'm a freak, but I like my job.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And man, so you've seen a lot of changes of the industry through the years. I mean, if you started in '88 and you've been the editor at Mix the whole time, right?
I mean, editorialist, proofreader, to assistant editor, to managing editor, and worked my way up. But yeah, I've been there a long time, and the changes are profound. I mean, it's easy to forget how rapidly technology has changed. The fact that when I joined Mix in 1988, there were 2 computers in the office, 2 computers, and we had a Linotronic output machine to produce type, but there was a PC in the business office and a Macintosh Mac 2 CI in the editorial department.
Yeah.
And then that year we got more Macs, and it suddenly became, but that's a desktop computer. It didn't exist like that. There was no internet. AOL wasn't out yet.
Right.
We started out with CC mail. So on the consumer side, I mean, I go from typing a C prompt in mail to now I can do anything I want on my iPhone.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And so you can imagine that same parallel in the audio industry went from, 48-track digital Sony machines were big in 1988. You know, Mitsubishi still had a 32-track giant box running digital tape. And now that's basically on a thumb drive.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, whether you call it big to small, faster, more powerful, the technology has just been astounding.
Yeah.
That we live with.
And, you and I, we met probably 10 years ago or more. Like our first class of issue was 2013, I think is what we were in. But
Wow.
yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So and we I remember talking to you for the first time. We discovered that we both love Indiana basketball. So
I live and die by it.
which I'm going to apologize to Luke. Luke is a Purdue grad that films the video, so he's probably going to make us look really terrible during this. But
there's what's the saying that I like Indiana. The 2 teams we don't like, a team we're playing in Purdue or whatever.
yeah, I'm not one of those fans though. Like when I want Purdue to do really, really well. I just don't want them to win the full thing. That's
well,
all.
We've suffered. And Indiana's been tough the last 5 to 10 years. It's they have so much talent and they never deliver.
I know.
It's just disappointing.
We could talk the entire podcast probably about that. And actually, our phone calls end up being about 10% work, and then the rest of it, we talk about that.
You got to get the work out of the way.
Yeah, no, we haven't been to a game together yet. We still need to do that.
I first saw it. I saw Isaiah Thomas play at Assembly Hall in 1981. Isaiah Thomas dunked on James Worthy of North Carolina. It was quite a thing. But Gavin, I want to break in and say I'm very proud of what you've done. I mean, honestly, for a fellow Hoosier, but I bet you there were probably 2 employees or something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
2013 would have been no employees.
You were there.
It was just me.
It was just you.
Yeah.
It's astounding what you've done over the last few years.
Thank you.
You've developed a market. You've got great rooms. I feel like you've really embraced the industry as well.
Thank you.
That you've learned that. So.
Yeah, it's now we're up to 11 people, which is wild, and the types of projects that we get involved with now. It's just I started the business in 2009. If you had told me back then that we were going to get to do the level of projects we get to do now, it's
the level of projects you're doing is superb, and the range. I mean, the nice thing about audio too is it used to be. I discovered there was a recording studio, there were live performance, there was broadcast, and they were sort of segmented. And I've seen certainly a lot of performance spaces. The versatility of rooms has really changed.
Yeah.
So that and you're designing. I mean, it used to be glass used to be verboten. You know, in acoustics and studio design.
True.
I mean, some designers would say it's hard to work with. The high reflections. Now it's accepted.
Yeah.
People want light.
Yeah, exactly.
In studios. I think studio life has changed.
It has
quite a bit in the 35 years.
Yeah, because we're working on a lot of spaces where even some artists like Tyler Joseph from 21 Pilots, like he had a basement studio, had no natural light, and then he just got tired of that, and we ended up doing another studio that was in a sunroom, that had all sorts of glass and natural light, and he just felt better creating.
Well, it's funny. It used to be sort of this basement den-like approach, where there are even low ceilings at times, and you were cramped, and we were live end, dead end designs, and lots of wood. Lots of play with diffusion. And now we've got other solutions. And I think, the advancement there that allows people to work creatively in their own space is one of the larger advancements. I think it's often overlooked that, it's nice to go into the late great record plant. It's nice to go into the Village. It's nice to go into some of these, but the rooms that you can make now at home and with the equipment, with the acoustic treatment, with a little bit of design, you can have a good space today. It's not unapproachable for most people. Correct? You must see all kinds of levels, and
we do. Yeah, because sometimes it's just someone who has a single room and it's really small and that's all they've got. But we try to make it the best it can be, and then other times we're working on 31 room facilities, like a big commercial space, and so it's fun to do, a lot of different types of projects, because anytime someone comes to me with an idea, it's like, let's do it.
It's sound is sound, honestly. Sound is music, sound is effects, sound is all types of, whether you're a composer. One of the things I've really enjoyed in the last few years is watching composers and their rooms and writers. I think they've really taken over in a lot of sense, that personal space where they understand technology, they understand they're obviously very creative people, and they like their things to work the way they work.
Yeah.
And so they lay out. And I think the individualized approach or customizable approach to audio production is it's new.
Yeah.
It used to be a way to work, but now you can find your own way to work.
Yeah. Well, when we have discovery calls with clients, that's all I'm interested in. It's like, what works for you? Like, it doesn't matter what's worked for us for many, many years. It's like, let's talk about what you need.
And there are a handful of designers. I'm fascinated by studio design. I really love it because I liked, for some weird reason, I liked physics when I was a kid, much more than chemistry when I was a kid.
Same.
And it does. There's a sense about the studio space that has science involved. When we were talking about left brain, right brain, there are laws that you have to follow.
Yeah.
There are physical laws on both materials, structure, space, volume, and then there's just a personal identity. To me, there's no reason Motown should have been a great sounding studio.
Right.
It's a box with a vinyl floor, basically, and and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's sort of like one of the lessons is there are things you can do, but there's magic in a room.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I
like
find
Sound
that-
City is one of those.
Yeah.
The drum room there, it's like,
Yeah.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense why it should sound as great as it does.
But it does, and that's one of the properties that I just love. I mean, I've been involved in broadcast operations. I write a lot about sound for film. I love audio post production. The people who combine music effects and dialogue and make it all work off a screen. That talent amazes me. And to me, I sort of treat that in my job at Mix as there's no music, post, live. It's all one of the same family.
Yeah. Speaking of the magazine, how long does it take to put together an issue?
Well, magazines are on. It's a wonder Mix survives in today's market, honestly.
Sure.
We're at 52 pages a month. It'll stay that way. That's not calling card. We do a lot of events these days. We do a lot of video production. When I was in the 90s, the go-go 90s, when the first internet economy was booming and I was living in the Bay Area, Mix was regularly a 248-page magazine average per month.
Yeah.
It had a staff of 10. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
It's me and Clive Young with sales and operation, but Clive Young, I have a colleague, a co-editor at Mix. We put the whole magazine together along with a guy named Steve Harvey, who's a senior writer, formerly of Pro Sound News. Wonderful people, also longtime audio professionals, and a very good sense of news and scope for the industry. But the media has changed dramatically. An issue takes planning. It's hard to say. We're 3 months out usually on planning 3 issues at a time. Cover is a big deal. Sure. We have sections. We need to fill music stories. We need to fill live stories.
Yeah.
A lot of it is contacts through the industry, and a lot of it is phone calls. Believe it or not, people. I've got a nice contact list on my phone after all these years. Yeah. God, I can't lose my phone.
Yeah.
But that sort of, I get them through there too. I always tell people, I always tell the manufacturing community, if you have a press release, I presume everybody got it. That's great. You get news out. If you have a story, call me.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the difference. And I accept calls from everybody. I mean, I don't turn them down. And legitimately, the way I look at the media, there are top dogs in this industry. There are great studios that deserve the accolades. Yeah. There are great engineers who deserve the accolades, but everybody has a story.
Yes.
And that is the way I approach journalism. That's great. Of course I'll cover the top end. Mix is positioned at the high end of audio. And we enjoy that.
Yeah.
But George Peterson, who was an editor at Mix, taught me long ago. He said, "Tom, you don't have to worry about the Yamahas and the Avids and those companies. This audio industry is run. A lot of innovation comes from boutiques. The old cliche of 2 guys in a garage working out a product still exists in this world. Now, whether it's in software or hardware, doesn't really matter. We still have I defy anybody." Well, I asked John Mayer this question once, and I asked people, "Can you name any other technologically sort of dependent industry that will, value increases? An 80-year-old mic might sell for $20,000,
right?"
And he tell me, not in the video world, not in any type of, not in the computing world, nothing. There's a certain, not just reverence, but solid. Personal dislike doesn't matter. A good old microphone from 1940 can sound pretty freaking good.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of any industry like that.
John Mayer came back with camera lenses.
Okay.
Immediately, he said, "A nice lens from 1924 might go for $25,000 on eBay."
Yeah.
I go, of course, John Mayer knows that. He's absolutely brilliant.
Right.
But it's a unique industry.
Yeah. I mean, how I know that it's a small team that's putting together all the issues, and you mentioned that to me before, and I was always shocked at how much you guys get done every single month.
It's I used to pride myself. There were times in the 90s when I would yell through the office, "We have 2 days. We can put out a 48-page supplement." And with the team, you can do that. And with dedicated, it's a matter of. My tool is Microsoft Word, rather than a plugin. And a good story is a good story, and you can find them lots of places.
Yeah.
Every single person who picks up an instrument, every person who presses record has a story to tell.
That's my favorite part about doing what we do with our studio tours is that
Yeah.
I'm more interested in who the person is and what they're like, why they set out to do this, rather than like all the technical specs of something. Because it's like that. I think that's what people resonate with.
I find fascination in Oakland. I take cabs around town, right? And I have a taxi driver because of my house named Rasaki. I find out for 25 years he toured the world as the talking drum player in King Sunny Ade's band, playing Nigerian juju music from Tokyo to London to Toronto. He's driving a cab. His story is fantastic. And in 35 years, I have to say, I'm an Irish guy. I love a good story. I talk too much, but I love hearing them. And that's probably been one of my real treats of being at Mix all along is getting to hear those stories.
That's awesome.
I feel privileged that way.
Yeah. How often do you get to go out to the studios that you're writing about? Like go in person?
In the 90s when everybody had a budget? All the time.
All the time? Yeah.
I don't get out as much anymore. I mean, certainly Zoom communication, video communication has changed how we interact. I much prefer face-to-face communication.
Yeah.
And whenever I can, I like to walk into a room. I mean, I know people who are jaded after 35 years at a job. Not me. I can walk into a studio. I don't care where it is. I don't care how big it is. And I'm still sort of, golly gee, this is something.
Yeah,
and I still get that feeling. And if I ever lose that feeling, my time is probably done at Mix.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's probably time to get the Airstream and drive around.
There you go. I'm curious too when you're putting together, because you've obviously seen so many studios, and you do the class of issue every year, which I look forward to.
One of my favorites. One of my favorite issues. Actually.
Yeah. So what's that process like for you when you're looking at things?
Well, it's nice because we do want to celebrate the new. Because it shows both advances and it provides a great regional outlook. I mean, we tend to focus a lot on New York, Los Angeles, Nashville.
Yeah.
These are music centers and legitimate, but most of the audio takes place in the rest of the United States. So we get to see that when the submissions come in for the class of. And I got to tell you, these are beautiful, beautiful studios. Now, there's no way I do not visit all of them.
Right.
But we do our due diligence. We call around. We know the designers in this world who are top shelf, and we know what the top rooms are going to be. We might have missed a few privately owned, built personal studios, but I think we have a pretty good grasp. And the designers now have learned to put their prize projects forward in a way, the ones they're proud of. And it's one thing for me to get, and I get a lot of press releases, and I get a lot of this. And I presume they're all things being equal, everybody's their story. But there are some that really sort of rise up. And you can tell when a designer or somebody, and I've become friends with a lot of them over the years. Yeah. So if they tell me this is a big project, there's a certain amount of trust I've built over the years. You yourself call me. Every room you do, you don't call me on.
No.
But if you have one that's special, and that means a lot more to me because I have every journalist wants his source. Right? Wants a source out there.
Yeah.
But the trust works both ways. If you were coming after me with every room you built, I would probably start to just say, here I go. Is this really? But that said, every project is important to you. I mean, I don't want to scale those, and I don't want it to mean any projects. It's just that some really stand out, that they're really special, and you recognize those.
Yeah.
And in the class of, I think we get a lot of that. I think we do.
I love the variety that you see in that. I always love getting the issue, and we've had 1, 2, or 3 studios in every one since 2013, and always an honor when you guys
build good
stuff.
Studios.
Thank you. But yeah, when I get to see it and see all the other work that my colleagues are doing as well, and it's all over the world. There's really cool studios.
Somewhat. I mean, these used to be, I say, multi-studio facilities. Now they're multi-room facilities in a way. The versatility of a room has become very important.
Yeah.
And whereas you might have an A, a B, a C, and a D room, that's changed.
Yeah.
I think as productions change and workflows have changed, and rightfully so. I mean, in the film industry, you don't need a giant room with 38 mag numbers anymore.
Right.
You need a rack.
Yep.
And that changes a lot of things in terms of opening it up for creativity.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about working at Mix?
Oh, reaching out in the industry. I mean, I like going out into the industry. I love, it's really going back to this creativity, this tech. It's hard to describe. There's a great book called The Alphabet versus the Goddess, written by a neurosurgeon named Leonard Shlain, where he talks about the development of left brain, right brain interaction evolutionarily. And there are points in human history where the right brain takes over, left brain takes over. Left brain is dominant right now. But in the audio industry, I mean, it amazes me that George Massenburg kid does, it basically create the parametric EQ and mix little feet.
Right.
I mean,
How you do both,
that's a rare brain,
Mm-hmm.
And I find that across all aspects of audio. I find that in the design world,
Yeah.
I know Chris Pelotas is a favorite. He's a monster guitar player.
Yeah.
The late great Fran Manzella, the late Vince. These guys were some of my heroes growing up, and my first entree into the design world and my first sense of sort of the brains that went into that.
Yeah.
It's building a room isn't just an architect. I mean, it's a creative aspect.
Yeah. A lot of times people, because I went to school for mechanical engineering with a robotics focus, but I've been a musician my whole life. And it's like, I do find a lot of engineers and technical people are musicians as well. Like you kind of, it works well.
It's important. One of the things I discovered is it really helps. And I've learned through osmosis. I mean, I'm a journalist and I feel like I could, I fell into the most wonderful industry around.
Yeah.
And I've learned it. I know enough to be dangerous. I don't mix. I mean, I didn't try. I think it's not my skill set. I don't have the ears. I can remember going to Skywalker Sound at one point, and there's a full 90-piece orchestra in the scoring stage, and Leslie Ann Jones is at the neve. And she stops the orchestra and picks out a clam on the third violin. And I'm going like, what?
Yeah.
How did you hear that? And
Special talent.
Everything we were hearing. And in that sense, it's Leslie's a foodie. Lots of audio people are foodies. And I've come to this theory that somebody who can break down a complex dish and know the cinnamon, know the blueberry, know a wine, and taste the oak. That there's almost an affinity for mixing an orchestra.
Sure.
that knows the cello, knows the violin, knows the brass. And that has amazed me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, wow.
That's crazy.
I can remember that moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. I was curious too. We've never really talked about this. Like, what's your go-to when it comes to music? Like, do you have a certain genre that you like to listen to? Favorite bands?
I grew up, I had older brothers. And so my first record I think I ever bought myself was Neil Young, Comes a Time. I'm partial. I mean, I grew up with Dylan, Marley, old rock and roll too. I was a huge fan of the band.
Yeah.
Bob Marley's still in my blood. So there's a lot of 70s in there. That said, I'm, all through, I tend to gravitate toward the singer-songwriters, I think, but I love Avett Brothers. I love, Death Cab for Cutie when they were at their peak. I love them. That type. And I like to rock out. I mean, I'm not a hardcore, I'm not a metal rocker, not that kind of thing, but I love rock and roll.
You like to go to concerts?
I used to go to a lot more.
Same.
And as my daughters were fond to say when they were young and we got the tickets, the fixed tickets, Dad, they don't pay you enough, but the perks are pretty good. So I've got to, I do, and I love live performance. I've really become attracted lately. Stadium shows and festivals, I love them, but I'm probably a little too old for them right now.
Yeah.
And it can be a lot in an arena for me right now. My ears are, but boy, do I love a 2,000-seat theater and a great artist.
That's kind of my favorite as well.
Beautiful room. And I also still like a club. Beer on the floor and angry rock and roll and 300 people. And I still like that too.
That's awesome. Well, Tom, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this thing. And I always enjoy talking to you. I know we don't talk that often, but when I do, I get see the phone calls coming in from Tom. I know it's going to be a good time.
Thank you. And I enjoy you. And I do want to give one shout out to. I was with last night. I spent at Apogee with Bob and Betty, and they lost everything. And I got it. They lost everything in the fire. It's just tragic. And we lose things. You know, he lost a console, but those are all that can be replaced. And I was just stunned. They had an opening party. Their attitude coming out of the fire was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The face, and they stood up and welcomed everybody in. And I want to give a shout out to all the people who suffered during the fires. It's for those of us outside of the Southern California area, we have no idea what that's like. And what you went through, our hats off to you. I mean, and we'll watch you the rest of the way. And at Mix, we'll keep pushing for support to not forget this.
That's amazing. Yeah, I reached out to probably 15 to 20 of my clients in the area, and probably 12 of them got evacuated, and some lost their houses, and it's just a horrible situation.
Well, I wrote it. It's something that we don't focus on, but like 3 days ago, I wrote my editor's note for the February issue, and it's called "What Would You Grab?" And because presuming your children are in the car, the pets are in the car, and somebody knocks on your door at 11 p.m. and says, "You have 5 minutes."
What do you do?
I looked around my house. What do I grab? What's of value? And it's a real study when we face something like that. The difference that we find between money and value.
Yeah,
and I think that's important to us every now and then. Step back and look at what we truly value.
I think too, like you always do a great job with like when things like this happen. You're right about it, and I think just bringing awareness to it even further,
it's important.
And what you do in the industry. I mean, you're telling people stories that wouldn't otherwise get out there. So I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
Over
Thank
the years.
you very much. I do love this industry. Keep building the ribs, Gavin.
I will. I'll keep doing it. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, man.
Well, that's been another episode of the S.O.U.N.D Project. Thanks for joining us. Curious if you remember the first issue of Mix Magazine that you read. If you do, comment that below, and we'll see you next week.